Friends, today we're talking about the Mythic Uldaman Legacy of Tyr. This is probably one of my favorite dungeons in Dragonflight right now. These fights are so much fun, and I think this is going to be one of the quickest guides I give you because realistically, there's not many changes in this dungeon, but pay attention anyway because I don't want to see you guys getting messed up out there. I want everyone to get their gear. Now, this fight doesn't change very much with the exception of two different abilities that happen during the ship phase, which you'll see here in just a moment. As far as what the bosses do, Olaf has an interruptible, which tanks you guys can handle. But the thing you want to worry about here are these two abilities, the Burning Pitch and the Fiery Surge. You can see here on the map what happens is those cannonballs hit the ground and they leave behind that Burning Pitch. So just make sure you're not standing on top of one another and try not to spread out too far. You do want to stay a little bit spread out just because of the splash damage that happens with this. But you also don't want to create that Burning Pitch all over the map. What I see a lot of people do, and you can even see in this video here, is that some of the DPS likes to stay behind in that bottleneck. Don't be shy. Just come into the room a little bit. Healers, you could stand on top of that platform if you really want to, just so you could see everybody. Tanks, you can take care of that defensive bulwark. I think I might have missed my interrupt there, but DPS, you guys can kick that if you want. You don't have to take the bosses down in any particular order. I try to keep them as close as possible and cleave the ever-living shit out of them. Just watch those two abilities, the Burning Pitch and the Fiery Surge, and you guys are going to be good to go. That is pretty much this fight. Very straightforward. All right, so for the next boss, we're going to talk about Bromach. This is, I think, one of the easier, if not the easiest fight in this dungeon. The only change we need to worry about here is the one change that happens to the Quaking Totem. So the main difference that happens here on the Mythic difficulty is what I think you should do is get all of the mobs together. That Quaking Totem is going to cause a tremor as soon as you bring it down. The reason why you want to try to grab as many adds and bring them into the Quaking Totem is that once you bring down that Quaking Totem, it's going to actually stun every single add, including the boss that pops up, and it hits them with a 200% increased damage, and it knocks down the boss, so you actually have time to clear out any adds that are remaining. And then you just beat the shit out of the boss here. You guys can see we one-phase this damn thing. If you've got good DPS, you can literally one-phase this boss. Just bring everyone into the totem. Take the totem down as soon as it pops up, and you're done. That is the fight. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. I told you, super fast. Sentinal Talandras, a very simple fight here, with the exception of two different abilities I want you guys to be mindful of. The Unrelenting ability increases the damage output, so tanks and healers, make sure you guys are synchronizing with each other. Manage those cooldowns accordingly. Really not the biggest deal in the world, but just manage your cooldowns. You can actually kite the boss and any other monsters through the resonating orbs. That does not mean players should be walking through them. No, they are not a buff for you. Just because they are shining and beautiful, you should not be walking through them or get close to them. But tanks, you can pretty much kite the boss and any other adds that pop up through those orbs and it'll stun them. And also, if there's just too many on the floor, just keep kiting the boss through them and she'll get rid of them. Easy. That's pretty much it. Manage your cooldowns, watch your positioning. Don't touch the shiny orbs. And yes, that means you too, hunters. Don't touch the damn orbs. All right, next we've got Emberon, another simple fight. Biggest thing we need to worry about here is the unstable embers, which essentially on Mythic difficulty affects every player in the party. Healers, be mindful of this. Just manage your AoE heals as much as you need to. If you are a Evoker, a Druid, a Paladin, whatever AoE heals you have, just make sure you're managing it from when those unstable embers appear. The fight is very much the same on Mythic as it is on Heroic and Normal. In this circumstance, our DPS was very good. We were able to one-phase it. So as long as you're paying attention to your DPS, you can actually get through this fight very, very quickly. So healers, just make sure you're managing your cooldowns as you need, just in case you can't get through it on one phase. I would suggest if you are not getting through this as quickly as you'd like, try to get close to each other, because during that second phase, when you need to go do the merry-go-round, you're not separated from one another because you could die there. So if you need to, just group up a little bit and you'll be fine. All right, we're on a roll here. This is a pretty quick guide. All right, and for the last boss, we've got Chrono-Lord Deios. Another simple fight here, all about making sure you're in a good position and managing your cooldowns. I'm confident that this is a tank and spank fight. There's really nothing crazy we need to worry about here, with the exception of one thing. The time sync ability is the only thing you need to worry about here. During the time sync, your movement ability is reduced by 35% for almost 10 seconds. So for the group, just make sure you're not in a place where you can't get away from all of those things on the floor, because you're not supposed to be standing in it anyway. Also, tanks, make sure you're facing the boss as far away from the group as you can to make sure that you're managing that sand breath, because you don't want to be standing in front of it unless you're a tank. But during that time sync, you want to manage that sand breath so that you're not blasting everybody with their reduced movement speed. The rest of the group can utilize the temporal zones that pop up, which will increase their haste by 50%. This is kind of a seesaw fight if you think about it. So if you've got a Drums of War, a Time Warp, a Bloodlust, you can actually use it during the phase where things are slowed down to kind of bring that back up. If you have any group movement abilities available, like a Stampeding Roar, you can even do that too if you need to help people get away if they're in a bad spot. But honestly, this is a DPS race. Just don't stand in the places you're not supposed to be standing in. Don't stand in front of the boss. Don't stand behind the boss. Healers, manage your cooldowns if you need to. And that's pretty much it. This is a very simple Mythic dungeon, and certainly one of the more fun ones in the game right now. And I'm sure some of these fights will be increasingly more difficult once M+ is available. Stay tuned to the channel because I've got plenty more guides coming. I hope this video helped you guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.